Our first item on the agenda is a request for authorization to install 12 dual-head electric vehicle charging stations at Town Hall, Abbott, and Westford Academy. So, Eric, you want to update us and tell us where we are and what you're looking for?
Sure. So these are 3 projects we've been working on over the last year. Myself and Paul Fox, our facilities director, we were trying to take advantage of state grants and National Grid incentives to be able to fund the projects. There was an opportunity to get 100% funding for these projects. So we started exploring them last year. We ended up working with a total of 5 different vendors to explore these projects. The way that the funding works, the infrastructure costs are significant. So unless you do 4 dual head stations, which is actually 8 parking spaces, the total financial cost to the town isn't cost neutral. You'd have to have some significant out-of-pocket cost. So what you see today before you is at all 3 locations is 4 dual head stations, including 1 handicap accessible of the total 8. So 7 regular and 1 handicap accessible. We have until October of this year to get these in the ground. The state and National Grid were inquiring when we were going to get moving forward on these. We did check with Superintendent Chris Chu. He was comfortable with the projects proposed at Westford Academy and the Abbott School. It's just the town hall. We were looking to bring these before the board to get some input, considering the space that is going to be taken up at the town hall parking lot.
So okay, so go ahead, Jody.
So let me just jump in for a second. So, you know, as you know, this is the area where we allow the public to park, and we have signs asking to limit it to 15 minutes, whatever. That'll take 9 spaces from the town hall, and obviously the town hall parking lot is very tight, and that means we'll have to free up a different row for the public to park. Part of the idea that I wanted to at least talk to you about today is to actually clear an area to add 9 parking spaces, and maybe you could show that, Eric, at, you know, towards the 63 Main, but kind of we don't want to do anything too expensive because it's probably in the future going to be changed if the town decides to put more parking back there. What I learned after I did some analysis on this is, well, would cost probably around 20 grand. That's probably conservative to clear that area and put down gravel. But I learned that there might be some planning board issues with us not paving that. And so I might have to seek a waiver from the planning board, which sounds complex. I could pave that area for 40 grand, but again, in the future, you might want to go through the woods there and do more. So the other thought I had is just forcing 9 employees to park over at the old fire station. And then if you support moving forward with 51 Main at your next meeting, and if it passes at town meeting in the spring, then we could look at expanding the parking lot, you know, in a more permanent manner later. So I don't know if that all makes sense to you. I think I originally thought we could do this now, but maybe it doesn't make sense to do it.
Okay, questions, comments? Anita?
When I first looked at this plan, that was my first concern, was just that this is not going to be enough parking. And, you know, I'm glad you walked through, Jody, kind of thinking about, you know, the more permanent conversations about a more permanent parking solution. And I have a question around the cost of infrastructure. And I know that we have to work with an October timeline, which is why you're proposing this temporary space here. But Eric, you were saying, you know, there's a really substantial cost with the infrastructure of adding these dual heads and everything. So if we were to move forward with a temporary sort of additional parking space plan like this, then would we be paying again for another infrastructure? Like if we were to move it, are we paying again for that part?
Are you talking about?
Anita, can I just clarify, when you say if we move it, are you talking about moving the electric car charging stations, or are you talking about moving the parking?
Those 9 spots, right? So if we're thinking about extending that parking lot further, then you would need to move those 9 parking spaces and the dual electric charging stations with that, right? Because that wouldn't be there. That could potentially be more parking spaces going in another direction. So I feel like we'd be paying for that infrastructure part twice as well, right? In addition to the parking, gravel or asphalt.
The dual electric chargers cannot be moved. They have to be located right there because there's a transformer there. So my plan was to just put a temporary 9 spaces in the woods for employees. But again, after knowing that I have to pave to be in line with planning board, I'm rethinking that we just force them to park at the fire station, and then if the new center building passes, that we look at expanding the town hall parking in the way we've looked at before. So I've changed my mind. And you can think that the parking at the fire station isn't a bad thing. The problem is when it gets icy and snowy and everything's slippery, and then it gets a little more challenging. But so I don't know if that clarifies, Anita.
Yeah, sorry, I might have just misunderstood it.
Okay.
Sorry.
Yeah. So really, it's what we're asking you is, do you support losing this row of parking but gaining these charging stations? And if you do, then that will move forward in October, and then we can handle the 51 Main and additional parking if that building passes in the future.
Tom, were you going to say something? I think you had your hand up.
I was just going to comment that I do support this, even though I value the employees tremendously and hate to ask them to have any additional position. I think in this case, I don't know, I haven't measured it out, but if it's where I'm thinking it's another 50 meters maybe to walk each way, maybe a little bit less than that.
It isn't far, and Eric and I will be the first 2 to volunteer, but no one likes change, as you know, and so they'll be fine. I just don't think that's a permanent solution. It'd be nice to add some parking, but we need to know what's going on with 51 Main before we invest any funds.
I think that makes sense. What I would say, and I know that the town does a really good job with this in the winter anyway, but it'll just be even more important that we make sure, the sidewalk from the parking lot to town hall is, cleared, plowed, free of ice, et cetera, and that we make it, as easy as possible and as safe as possible for our employees who park over there to walk from there to into town hall. That's my only comment, but I like Tom. I certainly installing the charging stations as shown on the plan. John, did I hear you in the background? Did you have something you wanted to ask or say?
Well, I got a couple of things. I guess, what's the best case if we approve the new center building before we complete that and have the additional parking spaces that Jody needs? Is this going to be about a 2-year effort?
I would say if town meeting approves the 51 Main and then it goes to the ballot and that gets approved, it's probably going to be at least 2 years before that building's constructed, or finished. But that parking lot will have to be probably mostly closed during construction. So I think if those, and maybe we should have, well, you haven't even talked about if you support 51 Main, but if you do and we're going to bring it forward, then maybe we should also have an article for funding to do the parking and work on that simultaneously, so that we can be creating parking before we prohibit everybody from parking over at the fire station. So, yeah.
Now, I had a question for Eric. Could you tell me how are we going to be paying for the electricity for these stations? Is that kind of pay as you go with a meter thing in front, or how does that happen? Or does the town foot the bill?
So these are fully programmable. We can charge, we set the rates. So as you'll see in the proposal in the packet, there's about a $4,300 cost to connect these to the network, which we'll have to pay every year. But the town can set the charge rate. So there's roughly 7 locations already in Westford that have charging stations, and some of them don't charge anything. Some charge, say, free for the first hour and a half, and then they charge incrementally thereafter. So really, it'll be us to determine what we set the rates at, but ideally, we would want to set them at a rate to hopefully cover our costs, our annual costs for the software fees, and hopefully to plan for capital replacement eventually when these things need to be replaced.
Okay, one other question. Who's going to oversee the overall project? We've got the schools involved and the town hall. Who's going to be the project manager or what all in this project?
So the contractor that we're using, it's essentially pretty much turnkey. They do a lot of the work, but Paul Fox will be highly involved with all of the projects.
Okay, good. Thanks.
And I would mention the Clean Energy and Sustainability Committee is completely on board for this project.
Okay. Eric, unlike in the past, I can't see if there are people in the audience who have any questions or comments. I'm not seeing a list of panelists or attendees. So if there are, can you, Anita, can you see them?
I can see Lori Teller has her hand up.
It's standing room only, Andrea.
Would you like me to unmute
What
her?
else on a Tuesday morning?
Nobody here.
Emily has her hand up. Eric, could you, bring her in? Thank you.
Thank you. I'm now unmuted. Thank you very much. I also wanted to say that Westford Climate Action is totally on board with this. As you know, we came to you when you were doing the budget to encourage the police department to have some of these. So this is one of our goals, and I'm thrilled that you all are supporting this. And thank you very much for your creativity and worrying about parking. I guess I just have a general question about parking charging facilities around town. Do you think there is any sense of the board to have public ones anywhere? I think they're mostly will be on private land, but I'm wondering if you've looked beyond the town employees to benefit the town somehow, and that could be on a later agenda item.
Emily,
Yeah, I was gonna.
this is for the public. These are for the public. They have to be located on public land. We cannot locate them on private land, but they are open to the public. They're not just for town employees.
Okay, that's good to know.
Yeah.
Thank you.
Sure.
All right.
Andrea.
Is there like I said, since I can't see, is there anybody else out there who has okay, thanks, Anita. All right.
Actually, there is one now. Terry. Oh no. Terry did. Can you see that, Eric?
Looks like he took it down.
Yeah.
Okay. All right. Seeing that, is there a motion to support the installation of electric charging stations at the Academy, Abbott, and Town Hall as presented in our packages today?
So moved.
Second? Good. All those in favor? Anita?
Aye.
Tom?
Aye.
John?
Aye.
Aye. All right, thank you. Thank you for all your hard work on this, Eric.
Welcome.
Okay, old business, new business. We have a request from Nancy Cook on behalf of Westford Remembers to hold a fundraiser involving selling and placing signs on Town Common in honor or memory of our veterans beginning on Wednesday, November 10th through Sunday, November 14th. And I think this is probably what Terry has his hand up about, right? Nope, he took his hand down.
He's a panelist now, though.
Okay. Hi, Terry.
Here we go. Now I'm unmuted. Yes, that's what I wanted to talk to you about. Is obviously I'm not Nancy Cook. Nancy said she's blocked and she was in earlier, but so I'm representing one of the original members of Westford Remembers back when we started the 9/11 Monument Project and that whole piece. So we're obviously a 501c3, and what we are actually doing, oh, I guess there's some pictures there. So what we're actually recommending is that we would like to put up signs honoring our veterans placed around the town common. And these signs would be up the week of Veterans Day. Looks like we're going to put them up on the 10th, which is the day before Veterans Day, which is Thursday, November 11th. And they would be up there through Sunday, the following Sunday. This is kind of a summer project to what we did with what was done with the Westford Academy grads. And we want to put these up recognizing our veterans. So this is actually a fundraising effort on Westford Remembers' part. As most of you know, Westford Remembers is pretty much Westford centric in a lot of things that we contribute to a lot of different projects. Obviously the 9/11 Monument and Memorial, the benches that are up on the town common, a lot of restoration of war memorials and monuments, and Colonel John Robinson, Westford Night, are lots of different projects. It's been lately during the COVID pandemic, they've had a Helping Hands project. We've had a Helping Hands project where we help those that have financial needs and for one reason or another. But the idea behind the veteran sign is that this would be a donation that would pay for the cost of the sign, as well as a donation to Westford Remembers, so that we can continue on with our patriotic memorial efforts and stuff of this nature. It wouldn't go necessarily towards the general Helping Hands program as much as it's meant to encompass what our original focus was, is on pieces that Dave Cristiano's done over the years, obviously, as well as a number of other projects. So we're asking that we be able to put these signs up around the common. There's a couple samples here you can see. We'll be scanning in images if they're provided. If there is no image provided, then we'll put the Armed Forces logo in there where the picture would be. I've had a number of people say they don't want their picture that big as mine was, as an example. But we show a couple of them here, Eric and Ryan. I don't know if they donated this willingly, but there's some pictures of them on the signs there. Eric is in full regalia there. So anyways, and Ryan. So we had various concepts. We think the photo of the veteran in, a headshot is probably the ideal way to go, but we'll see. We'll take what we can get and collect the photos for people return. So we're going to use these signs for Veterans Day. We would store them and reuse them for various events over the course of the year, or the next couple of years, depends upon how they wear. We're hoping that they'll last for quite a while. So they're standard yard, with a rack and rail, and focus on the face here. Anyways, it's a kind of a nice project, and we're just looking for everybody to approve.
All right. We do have an opinion from town council, who has advised us that we can permit this on our town common, that it is consistent with other things that we have allowed on the common. So for anybody who was questioning that, we do have that opinion from town council. Any questions from the board? Anita?
I think this is a really unique idea. I don't think I realized that Westford Remembers was an official 501c3, so I think that's really awesome to kind of share, because then you can get that tax exempt, tax credit that can help support donations. People would like to support that further stuff. So, I think that's great. Thank you.
All right.
That's recent. We just finally got it all approved and everything. But thank you, Anita.
All right. Is there a motion to approve the installation of signs honoring our veterans on town common from November 10th through November 14th?
So moved.
There's a second. Okay. All those in favor, Tom,
Aye.
John,
Aye.
Rita?
Aye.
Aye. Thank you, Terry and Nancy and all of Westford Remembers. We look forward to seeing the signs.
Great, thank you.
All right. Our next item is a request from the Town and School Safety Force to appoint Chris Saunders as school committee representative for a term expiring on June 30th, 2022. Is there a motion to approve?
So moved.
So moved and with gratitude to Valerie, who will be stepping off.
Second.
Okay, is there a second?
Second.
Thank you, John. All those in favor, Anita?
Aye.
Tom?
Aye.
John?
Aye.
Aye. Next, we have a request from the town manager to reduce the membership of the Historical Commission to 5 members.
Excuse me.
Jody, did you?
Yes, so I did send you a note, I believe, on this, and the Historic Commission, at least 3 of the members that are active do agree with me. I'd like you to reduce it to 5 with 1 alternate that is not on this agenda. That way they can have a quorum of 3 and meet, and we can get 63 Main sold.
Makes sense. Is there a motion?
So moved.
So moved.
Okay, all those in favor, John?
Aye.
Tom?
Aye.
Rita?
Aye.
Aye. Okay, next item, designate select board member to participate in the upcoming International Association of Firefighters collective bargaining negotiations. I have volunteered to do that, if there is no objection from anybody else.
There'll be 5 more unions in the spring if anybody's interested.
So you're all gonna get your chance.
And the teachers too.
That's right, and the teachers too. All right. And if there's no objection, I will do that and we'll start negotiations with them. I think we're scheduled, our first meeting is like September 14th, is that right, Jody?
Yeah, 6-hour session. We're hoping to get the contract done.
Ooh.
And it'll be the day after I come back from vacation, so it's gonna be a blast.
Any second thoughts, Andrea?
All right. I'm sorry, John, what did you say?
Any second thoughts?
No, I'll do it. All right, our consent agenda, which is a street road closure for United Methodist Church picnic. The applicant is David Welsh. It's located at the intersection of Church Street and Broadway Street, Sunday, September 12th, from 9 to 1 p.m. Is there a motion to approve, together with recommendations from our public safety officials?
Moved.
Second.
Second? And all those in favor? Anita?
Aye.
Tom?
Aye.
John?
Aye.
Aye. And with that, is there a motion to adjourn?
So moved.
Second. And we can just do this by hands. All in favor?
Aye.
Great. Thank you all very much. Have a great day, and we'll see you at our next meeting.